Welcome to the Next Level Life podcast with Christine Corcoran. This podcast is made for the powerhouse businesswomen who are ready to ignite their fullest potential. This is where we will dive deep into the mindset breakthroughs and sprinkle in some kick up the butt motivation so you can scale your business with confidence and clarity. Whether you're craving more income, impact, or inspiration, this podcast will be your ultimate resource for all things next level. Listen in as we have authentic conversations with game-changing female entrepreneurs as we reveal the secrets on what it takes to rise and thrive. So go ahead, ignite your inner fire, and let's get you taking massive aligned action. Are you ready to elevate? Let's go. Welcome back to the podcast. Today I want to share with you my full launch debrief. I've been spending a few weeks on it. I caught up with my OBM and we went through all the bits and pieces and all the data behind the scenes for my most recent launch, where I actually launched the next intake for both my masterminds. So it was a 63K launch, just over 63K, and that is obviously over, like, the income that's going to come in is now contracted over the next few months. So it's not my full entire yearly income. Obviously, it's just one part of my income. And I want to share with you a transparent look at behind the scenes, because I think sometimes we can get super misled by a lot of launching talk online. And, you know, people can be spruiking 100K launches and they can be spruiking all these massive launches, but they don't really give you the ins and outs behind the scenes. Now, the cost of their offers does make a big difference. Like, if they're launching a $20,000 offer, like, a 100K launch means they only got 5 people in, right? Like, if they're spending $100,000 on ads and they only made $100,000, and then I really wouldn't deem that to be a successful launch. And so I want to give you the ins and outs, because I think sometimes when we're launching something, there's so many lessons that come through absolutely every single launch. And there's something that I learn from it every single time, and I get clearer and I pivot for the next time round. Like, there's things I take into the next launch. And so the debrief is so freaking valuable that I think not enough people share with you the behind the scenes. So I want to give you a behind the scenes look, and I want to give you numbers, and I want to give you figures, and I want to give you what worked and what didn't work, and what I'm going to be changing for next time, and how it's actually served me in so many ways to do this debrief. And it's also inspired me to pivot in a different way, which I'm super excited to share with you. I'll see how I go, whether I do that with you today or not. But I have so much to share with you. So hopefully I'm going to try and keep the podcast succinct. And I'm going to across those few things. So what worked, what didn't work, and some of the behind the scenes stuff. So I was launching both masterminds. Now, I've never actually launched both masterminds at the one time before. Usually I would do individual launches. And the reason for that is because it's much easier to speak to an individual client, that specific dream client that I really want, for each mastermind. Now, the masterminds do target different levels of business. So that was definitely a challenge going into it from the first place. So it was one of those things that I really kept in the back of my mind. Like, how do I make sure that I'm speaking to the higher level clientele, knowing that then the clientele who need the lower level offer will definitely still be attracted to that. And so I was selling in a different way this time around compared to the way that I would normally launch. So it's been really huge lessons in this. And I did try new things as well. So previously what I've done is use conversion events, which are a 3 or 4 day event. And I've done them only online before, and I've always found them super successful. Now, obviously, as a coach, people need to feel like they can trust me. They all need to get to know me. They need to feel like they're connected to me and that they want to learn from me. So they also need to learn from me to feel like they get the value from me in order to buy. So a conversion event works really well for me. So I'm doing a 3-day event. So I usually do like 3 powerhouse like masterclasses. And then on day 3, I will then share the offer. And then usually I'll do a bonus day where I have someone come on that shares their experience from the past rounds. And they will do a testimonial live and also answer questions for people. And then I will also answer questions and coach people live on that bonus call. So I found that in the past, they have worked really, really well. Now, pivoting to try something different does not mean that those things won't work again. Like, I absolutely still am so solid on the conversion events. I think that one of the things that the reasons why I pivoted slightly in this launch round, is actually because I had some tech issues go wrong behind the scenes. Okay, so what I tried differently this time was that I actually launched an in-person live event. Now, this is one of the first times I've done an actual conversion event live. And usually, like, I've run workshops before, I've run events before with like panel speakers and all that type of thing with my Love What You Do brand. And that's, been and gone. I did that for 3 years, and so it was a whole different concept. Now, this was actually a full in-person workshop with lunch. And so I launched that. Tickets sold out really fast, which was awesome. The caliber of clients that were signing up for them was amazing. I also had quite a few past members of the mastermind, or existing members of the mastermind, decide to come along, which was amazing as well because it gave a beautiful mix of people that, one, I felt super comfortable to present to, but also they could also share their experience within the masterminds, and they could also learn some more expanded concepts that I was sharing. So I was actually marketing that mastermind very much to a high level clientele that was really much more directed towards my next level mastermind. And so I had a lot of clients from my Elevate mastermind come along, which was perfect for them because they were learning next level strategies that I don't teach in Elevate. And that was also preparing them for next level. And they were also being able to share their experience. So people who were in the right level for Elevate in that room were also learning from them and also hearing their experience, which was amazing. Honestly, it was such a beautiful blend. And I'm so glad that it happened that way. I loved the in-person event. And honestly, I just love presenting. It's one of my things. And I love speaking, and it's one of those things that I love facilitating a group in person and those in-person connections. And so I absolutely believe that I'll be doing more of those because I just loved it. So it was actually pretty good for conversion as such. I had, how many did I have sign up on the day? Actually, I need to bring up my document. Sorry, give me 1 second. So I had 25 people attend the in-person event. I had 6 sales from that day straight away, which is actually not too bad conversion-wise. I would have liked to have had more, but I was actually sick on the day, which wasn't planned. I had come back from LA and I was sick. I'd come down with something. And so I wasn't actually my utmost best, to be honest. Like, I wasn't my best. And I also basically drained all of my energy. And so by the time that I got to the end of the event, where normally, I would have loved to actually had multiple conversations with so many people because people were there wanting to ask questions and they wanting to obviously find out whether the programs were the right fit for them. And I had a special offer as well that also helped. So I had a fast action bonus. If they took action on the day, they got a special gift that was there for them on the day. Or if they prefer to wait a couple of days, if they signed up within 48 hours, they got a discount. So there was definitely some specific things that I had in place for that. I also did a full sales pitch. And what I mean by that is an invitation. Like, I literally broke down each mastermind, who it's for, who it's not for, what they get, what they don't get, and gave them an invitation, obviously. And so that was pretty good. So 6 people signed up on the day. And then what I did is I did an online conversion event like I normally would. So it was a 3-day conversion event. This one was all about creating consistent income within your business. And I had 41 people sign up and 2 conversions from that. So what's really interesting from this launch, majority of my conversions actually happened after the online events and the in-person event. And also they were all through one-on-one conversations. And this is not optimal, right? This is actually not my plan. It wasn't actually the best way for me to go about it, but I had to pivot because I had major issues with my Facebook ads. So basically what happened is we were setting up the Facebook ads for the online event, which is normally where most of my conversions would come from. I normally have quite a high conversion from my online conversion events. And so normally I would rely on that, plus obviously all long-term relationships that I've been in contact with people over the years, over 6 months to 12 months, right? So I've already been working on building my list out of people that I think would be the perfect fit for both masterminds. And I was having conversations with them behind the scenes all the way along this year, like so before I even launched. Because I'm a big believer of making sure that you're, one, attracting the right people. So having those conversations and then actually saying to them, I think this would be a really good fit for you, and giving them the option to join is honestly so worthwhile, because depending on the level of client that you work with, some people would prefer to actually hear from someone saying, I actually think this is what you need. They love to have that diagnosis come through, right? And so one of the things is what I found really well for that was like, one, it was either an invitation to the online event. So I actually reached out to some specific people that, based on conversations we've had in the past, and said, hey, I'm running this conversion event based on what we were chatting about, last month. If you're still finding that you're having inconsistent sales, I'm diving in super deep in this 3 days. So please feel free to sign up. It's complimentary, and you'll actually be able to ask me live questions so that are personalized to your business. So if you'd love to come and join us, please feel free, and I would send them a link. Now, I would ask permission first before I sent the link. So I would say, like, this is what I think would be really good for you based on the conversation that we've had. This is what I'm going to be going through. Would you like me to send you the details? And majority of people would be like, yes, actually would love that. And then I'd send the details and they'd sign up. Now, with online conversion events, one of the biggest things that you have to be really conscious of is getting people to show up live. So I had a full email sequence breakdown of what happened from the moment someone signed up for the masterclasses, so the free online conversion event. Then there was a sequence of emails that basically warmed them up to get to know me, get to know what we were going to cover, to add lots of value, and then also to encourage them to sign up live. So that was really key because honestly, once I improved that process, like probably 3 conversion events ago, that's really helped with getting people to show up live online. Now, the other thing that I feel like I did wrong this launch was I actually had the wrong time for the masterclasses. Because I'm trying to open up the market into America, I actually looked at the time zones and was like, I need to do an earlier in the day session. So I actually booked them in for 10 a.m. Now, normally it would have been probably better for 9 a.m. But because of my existing clientele and because of the existing mastermind sessions that I ran, the 9 a.m. didn't work. So I had to do a 10 a.m. And so in hindsight now, I look back at that and go, that actually did not work for Australia, did not work for my people in Australia, especially at a 10 a.m. on a Monday. So I'm not doing that again next time. And so obviously I want to be conscious of, I want to obviously attract Americans, Canadians, and UK is really hard because it's such an opposite time zone. So I want to be conscious of that because I do want to open up the US market. And so I'm really conscious of that for my next launch. Now I'll get to the next launch stuff in a minute, but I just wanted to highlight that. That's what I feel like actually didn't work, is that I got the time wrong. I feel like also, like I said before, the Facebook ads did not work. It was so frustrating. So normally I would have Facebook ads that would start at least 10 days out from the masterclass conversion event. So I would have ads running for a full 10 days prior to that first day of the conversion event. Now, what happened is that we kept getting rejected. So we were creating all these ads, we were setting them all up. Now that we had ads that went to, I'm going to share the full breakdown with you. We had ads going to a cold audience. We had ads going to specific detailed interests, and we also had ads retargeting my existing audience. And basically we spent, just on the conversion event ads, we spent just over $700, so $733. And the reason that's very low, so just FYI, that's really low. I would have actually preferred to have spent probably double to triple that, but the ads didn't work because we had rejections constantly. So we had planned to get them out 10 days before, but we set them up, and then the first day, I think we were at day 11, they got rejected, and then we had to go through the process of fixing stuff and tweaking things and getting them reapplied for, and then we'd go again and again, and literally they did not get working until I think it was the Thursday, and the conversion event started on the Monday. So we were like, what's that, 4 days out? And, I work with business owners, so they're not looking at ads on the weekends. So it was way too late, like way too freaking late. And so then I asked my team member, Mads, who does my ads, to basically extend it out to keep the ads running until Tuesday, because I was like, we need to have, it needs to keep being visible. Otherwise it's not actually going to do the thing we need it to do. And so we needed to have ads up way earlier. That's probably one of the biggest issues in the why I only had 41 signups. That's really low. Now, previously in the past that I've run conversion events or masterclasses, I haven't actually put a lot of money behind ads before because I didn't really have the right person to support me with it, and I had lots of challenges around finding the right person. And so I actually did a lot of organic reach with that. So what I was doing beforehand, so if you're listening to this and going, okay, Christine, I don't have ads to put behind my launch, that's totally fine. You can do it organically. So one, it's consistently posting and making sure that you're setting and warming people up for the offer of the masterclass or the conversion event. Secondly is a lot of personal reach outs. So previously in previous launches, what I actually often did is sat on the couch each evening, and then this is just when it worked well for me, sat on the couch each evening and I would send 100 messages to my followers. So back then I was probably 2,500, 3,000 followers. And so I would literally, and you could only send 100 at a time because Instagram would then penalize you if you did more than 100, okay? So I would literally open up my followers and I would send a message, copy and pasted message to every single person for 100 people a night. And so I probably only got to maybe 700, 800 people in the lead up to that event, because ideally if you send it out too early, then people are like, I don't know what I'm doing in 3 weeks. But if you send it out between the 2-week and the 10-day kind of, 2-week to 7-day kind of mark, then people are kind of like, oh, that looks good, I'll go sign up for that. And because they're already following me, they're interested in what it is that I do, right? So it's probably most likely going to be more of a better fit. The other thing I would do as well is into Facebook groups. So I was obviously posting regularly into Facebook groups in the lead up to it. I was making sure that my Facebook posts were going out really effectively. I was making sure it was going out to LinkedIn as well. I was emailing my list. I was asking for collaboration. So I was doing collaboration lives. doing a live with someone else and then sharing what I've got coming up. And then I would also be doing lives as well. So talking about specific topics and then sharing that I've got this coming up and you can sign up now. So there are definitely organic ways to go about it, but I'm just in this phase of my business now where I'm wanting to actually expand more with and get out to more of a colder audience, to expand more with my Facebook ads. So the ads didn't work because they kept getting rejected. We had 5, and basically what happens with Facebook ads is that once you submit it, it goes through a learning phase. So it takes like 3-4 days to actually go through a learning phase before it starts actually ramping up and making it work. So not only were they getting rejected, that they were going into the learning phase, which then meant it would take another 3 or 4 days for them to actually start working. So everything was just we were way behind the 8 ball. And so it was such a big learning between me and my OBM to get this up and running that it was just such a schmozzle that unfortunately that's just the way it works this time. So luckily, obviously I ran the in-person event and I did ads for that, but we sold that out. So that was awesome. And I had like a blend of people that I could then also follow up. So people who didn't sign up with the fast action bonus, I continue to have conversations with a few of them, and a few of them signed up as well from there with the in-person event. So like when I break down the ads, like I didn't actually spend that much, but I would have wanted to if they had actually started working. So I spent over $500 for the Thrive Beyond 6 Figures event. And then previously I had a lead magnet going for about a month beforehand, which is my Irresistible Offers lead magnet, which is all about creating irresistible offers that your dream clients rush to buy. And so we did do about $700 worth of ads leading up to the actual in-person event before that. So I was still like obviously increasing my leads coming through there. So that's the kind of breakdown of the Facebook ads. What else did I want to share with you here? Oh, the other thing with the ads too, what we actually tried this time around as well was we did cart open ads and we did cart close ads, which was really interesting because I'd never done that before. And I'll definitely do that again because I felt like that actually helped really drive more people to be like, okay, yep, I know that's coming up. Like it created more urgency. It created great urgency for people to sign up before the doors closed. And then the other thing that I'm actually going to try next time round is also ads after the fact. And I'm also probably going to do a few emails after the doors close as well, because it's so interesting because like one, to go to waitlist for the next round, but two, that if I, depending on where I get with my numbers, if I haven't really gotten to my specific numbers, and I probably would do a couple of emails with giving people probably last chance to join 1 or 2 days after, because I did have a couple of people having conversations with me. When did I close the doors? I think I closed them on the Friday, but I was having conversations with people on a Monday and a Tuesday. We weren't starting the welcome ceremony until like 2 days later. So I had 2 people actually join last minute after the doors had actually closed through one-on-one conversations. So there is so much value in doing one-on-one conversations. Obviously, as a coach, like they need to feel comfortable with me and sometimes they need to have that conversation. So that's why I always just keep that on the table. And so be conscious that even though, yes, you're maybe selling an online program or course or whatever it might be, and it might not be something that you learn, like do down the track, but I think that in the early stages, it's so worthwhile doing because for many reasons. One, you're going to get first-hand information around what the objections are for them to join. They will also share with you some insights as to why they're hesitating joining. So it's not just objections, but it's also hesitations. And it's also some things you learn from that and you're like, oh, I'm actually not addressing this in my content. And that's why people are having the hesitation. Or they need to feel so much more comfortable with me from this space. And I need to share more vulnerable or more relatable content here because they're really not it's not landing with people, and I'm spending too much time over here educating when I should be actually creating more relatable content. Like there's some pieces there that I really learned from having those one-on-one conversations that needed to happen. And then also the other thing I've learned too, my cart open was way too long. So it was actually quite exhausting energetically because my cart open was way too long. And the only reason that happened was actually because of the date of the in-person event, because the venue only had specific dates, which I would have liked it to have been closer to the cart close because it just extended the cart open dates and people had almost too much time to think about it. So what I mean by that is that it's like we had the cart close a month later after the in-person event. So it felt weird for me to sell and to actually say like, hey, we're starting next month. And people, it almost felt like, oh yeah, I'll think about it because I've got a whole month to think about it kind of thing. So I think it's good in this day and age in order to be super transparent with your next open cart and like when doors will open again and when people have the option to join, because people do like to plan ahead and they're much more discerning with their money now. So they're really thinking ahead, like what are my next investments going to be, especially in the space that obviously I help them with. And so I think sometimes it's really worthwhile making sure that that's visible. So that's one thing I have updated on my waitlist pages, is that I have a full breakdown of when the next doors will open again. And I'm also like communicating that as well when having the conversations with people, because sometimes people are like, it's really not the right time for me now, but when's the next round? Can I join the next round? And so I'm having the conversations about them joining the next round and adding them into the wait list, and I'm doing that manually. So rather than it be like, hey, cool, yeah, sure, here's the link, go add yourself to the wait list, I'm like, no worries, I'll add you to the wait list. We want to make it as easy as possible for people to invest. We want to make it as easy as possible for, like, to make their lives easier. And I think sometimes people in business can be a bit funny about that. It's like, oh, I feel like I'm doing this hard work to force people to buy. You're not forcing people to buy, you're making it easy for them to invest. So just being conscious of that, I think, is really, really key. All right, what else do I think worked well? So definitely one-on-one conversations. My in-person event went so well. Now, the other debrief that we did with my OBM recently is we did a full breakdown of where every single client that joined the masterminds came from. And so we looked back at, and this is so good now because I've got data within my system in order to show me this. So whereas, previous years, because I hadn't had everyone on Kajabi as such, like I wasn't doing everything on Kajabi, I was sometimes using my website. And whereas now everything is pretty much on Kajabi, with all of my email sequences now, all of my landing pages, sign up pages, like everything, opt-ins, like everything is on my sales page, on Kajabi. So I feel like it's something that gives me so much data now, which is awesome to see. Now, one of the things that came through, which was really cool to see, was that the people who joined this round, they have already been a part of something I've done before. So none of them were super cold. So it's just super interesting, because I think that if you're in the business of feeling, if you know that your clients need to trust you, and they do, if they need to trust you, then you want to give them opportunities to trust you more and to learn from you. And so this is where longer form content definitely comes into play. And I feel like I have been going through these phases where I've been just doing online masterclasses, workshops, more like longer form educational pieces, mainly for launches. And what I'm actually feeling like I've been missing out on, and what's missing from my business, is the lead generation that can come from these events. That is not just about that exact thing that you're launching. It's not necessarily just about that conversion. It's about what happens in 6 months, in 12 months, in 3 years. Like, it is crazy. So I went through a breakdown and was like, okay, so where do these clients come from? So I've ran previous events, like 3 days to 10K events. I did one called Unlock 10K Months. I did one that was Becoming CEO. I did another one. What was the other one that I did? I can't remember now, but there was another one as well before that. That when we went through the breakdown of like where these people have come from, they've actually done these events beforehand with me online to some extent, and they've downloaded obviously stuff from me before. And I know that seems like simple. Oh, that's what it is. Next level masterclasses. I ran some ones like 4 next level masterclasses, which were awesome. And that was like probably 2021. Like, someone signed up to this round who had been part of that in 2022 or 2021. Crazy, right? It seems crazy. But sometimes it's recognizing what level of trust you need to build, and sometimes it's not always going to be the right time. So making sure that you stay the course, and also like what I'm taking away from it for next round is like, I need to add more value and give people new opportunities to learn from me, because like when I've been doing lives recently, I've had so many messages around like, oh my God, I got so much of that live. Thank you so much. People aren't utilizing lives as much as they should, right? There is so much that you can give to develop that level of trust and credibility that will set you apart from everybody else. But we're missing out on that because we're being either too lazy, and that's me, I'm in that basket, being too lazy, or we're already, worn thin in other spaces. So I think one of the things that I really want to take away from this learning from this launch is like, I need to do more lives, for one. 2, I want to create more opportunities throughout the year, not just when I'm launching, to learn from me. And so I'm bringing in leads at different times in the year. The other thing as well that I took away from this is that I didn't have a lead magnet that was going for long enough leading into the launch. So that's another thing that I've got to be really working on. So I realized this already 6 months ago. I remember like chatting with someone, I can't remember who it was, last year, and was like, oh my God, I haven't updated my lead magnet in probably 2 years. Like, it was so bad. And it was only because I got super busy, and my other lead magnets were my masterclasses, right? So, but some people need some other type of lead magnet in order to learn from you. And this is what I'm seeing with this data, is like so many people have downloaded other things like my CEO weekly activity, my money mindset booklet. Like, there's so many things that they've downloaded in the past that I was like, almost like not giving it enough attention to be like, that's actually a really beautiful way to actually attract high level clients when you create something epic. So I've created something epic and I'm going to put it out to the market next week. So you can keep an eye on that. And it's honestly the best. It is a template breakdown of authentic sales scripts that can sell out your high ticket offers in DMs and on calls. And it's so good. Like I pulled it together and I was like, I just started it on a Google Doc. And then I was like, actually, I'm going to keep it on the Google Doc because it's super easy for you to cut and paste, copy and paste. And it's freaking amazing. Like I literally went through it the other day with my OBM and I was like, I just want you to go in and make it really super, super pretty now and make it easy to access and find all the details. And I was like, holy hell, like this is so good. I can't wait to get it out. So I'm going to start doing some Facebook ads to that and I'll start sharing more about it on socials and I'll share the link with you ASAP. All right, so the other thing as well that worked really well for me this round was definitely my emails. So we did a full breakdown of my email sequences. So we had obviously the warm-up sequence to get people to show up to the live event. And then we had launch emails that went from when cart open to cart close. And I had such actually a really high open rate, which was really fascinating to me because I've always thought my emails don't do well, but I had really good energy around this. So one of the things that I feel like I needed to improve for next time is actually be much more effective with my content and be better planned with it. So that didn't work well this time around. I didn't have enough content supporting the other events that I was doing because I'd left it too late because I was just like super tired and sick after coming back from LA and literally hadn't had time to put real effort into creating content around it. So I had a couple of reels that went really well. But other than that, my emails. So once people were on my email list, they were definitely opening the emails, which was really, really awesome to see. So some of them, like I had full, like 100% open rate from my wait lists right to the sequence after they had signed up to one of the events. So it was just awesome to see that's actually obviously working. So gone are the days where I'm judging myself for having terrible emails. So the emails work really well. I just have to work on attracting more high-level clients into the business. And the other thing that I feel like really worked well was the retention from the last rounds as well. So I've had beautiful clients that have re-signed on for the next round, which is so beautiful to see. And I just love continuing to support them because I know their business so well now that we can just continue on and keep that momentum flowing. And what else? What else worked really well? The other thing that worked really well was the incredible support that I got from my existing members and past members that were sharing my stuff, that were commenting on posts, that were literally sharing my stuff with other people, like behind the scenes too, of like, you need to work with this person. So I got a really amazing lot of referrals, which was awesome to see. So honestly, like that actually means more than anything else. Honestly, when someone actually refers you and they sign on and they trust that, it honestly means the world. So I feel like that has given you a really good debrief. So the other thing as well that I feel like was 50-50 with this launch was my energy levels. And like I said, like the extended open cart time really affected my ability to really keep my energy levels high. I'm such a big believer of your vibration making the biggest impact with regards to your numbers. And so for me, that's where I feel like it really dropped because of the extended period of time. So normally my launch weeks are like 4 weeks. This one was like 6 and was way too long. And I needed to actually, and I was sick, obviously, so that didn't help as well. So one of the things that I'm taking into my next launch is one of the key things that I have done previously that have worked every single time is one, having a really clear goal of what it is that you do want, right? Which I did do this round. But the second piece, which is probably the most important piece, is mental rehearsal and visualization of the outcome that you want. And I did not do enough of that. I was so caught up in all the different things that needed to happen. I was trying to do 50 million things. I was doing all the masculine energy output, but I was not doing the feminine energy enough. So that means meditating, visualizing, keeping my vibration high. It was probably one of the things that I let slip. And I will say that, like, obviously that's something that on me. And I feel like that's what makes the biggest difference. So some of the things that really embed that is one, you need to give yourself space and time. So I did not give myself enough time in between cart close and the start of the new program either. So I'm taking that on to the next launch and being conscious that I make sure that I give myself space. So I give myself just a week in between. And also I'm really, really super conscious that I need to make sure that I'm prioritizing my energy levels, which means I need to be much more pre-prepared. So going to the next launch, which will be in July, I've got a full plan already mapped out. right? Already mapped out everything from an in-person event to online event to a community event for my masterminders. And I've got it fully mapped out. Literally, I've been spending time on it today. Fully mapped out, getting my team on board to support me with getting everything ready. So getting all the sign-up pages done early, getting all of the emails done early. I've got a copywriter on board to help me with a lot of this as well. And then also getting all the Facebook ads pre-done. So we're not going to wait till the week before and try to get it done and then try to get them launched. And we're going to actually have them live earlier, just to give them like those 3 to 4 learning days, probably prior to the 10 days that I want them live. So if I want them live for those full 10 days, I want them to be out of learning phase by the time we hit that 10 days out. So I'm going to be really conscious. We're actually working on this right now. I literally had a conversation with my OBM last week and was like, we need to map this out. We need to get the copy right, and we need to start planning this and get it all set up in the back end of the business suite. So then as soon as we're ready to go, we can turn on and go. So this is one of those things that I feel like I haven't as been pre-planned as much as I'm going to be, which is the goal going into this next launch. So I think one of the things that, if you can take anything away from this, is that there are so many moving parts with the launch, and you're never ever going to get it all right every single time, ever, because things change and you need to be flexible in being able to pivot. So what has also come out of this incredible debrief and breakdown, we also did a debrief of previous clients that have gone through the masterminds, the clients that have actually really succeeded. What were the common denominators? And I've already talked about this in the podcast. I'm not going to go into it in too depth. What were the common denominators of the people that really achieved high level results from the masterminds? Where did these people come from? How did I attract them? We did a full breakdown of how much they completed the content within the portal, how much they asked for help, what questions they asked within the Slack community. We also did a full debrief of all the feedback, all the testimonials, all the surveys that we sent out, to really look at what are the common denominators, what are some of the patterns that are showing through. Now, some of them are showing through which is where I'm going to start to impact my messaging. So I'm working with a brand strategist and a messaging strategist to help support my shifting of my messaging to make sure that I'm really attracting the high level clients that I want to work with, but also making sure that I'm getting across what I actually do and how I help people. And I think that's one of the hardest things to unpack for yourself, because it's hard when you're in it. Like, you're in it. I'm supporting my clients all day, every day. And so when I mapped this out with my coach, she was like, it sounds like you do X, Y, Z. And I was like, yeah, I think I do that. And she's like, and it sounds like you also work highly with this type of client. And I was like, actually, I think so. I'm not sure. And then I was like thinking in my head, like a breakdown of all the clients that I've had through my masterminds. And I was like, oh, I don't know if that's true or not. Like, she said, do you just work with B2B? And I'm like, no, I definitely work with other types of practitioners, and there's other PTs that work B2C. But maybe let me go have a look. So I literally went back down and I wrote down every single past client that I've worked with. And I wrote down whether they were B2B or whether they were B2C. So B2B is working with other businesses and B2C is working direct to customer. And so I did a full breakdown. And it was literally 70% were B2B and 30% were B2C. And I was like, wow, I had never considered that. And so what I want to do is start actually shifting some of my message direct to B2B so I can get really clear on who I'm serving. And then I'm also going to think about how I'm tweaking my programs to also support that as well. So I'm finding the more specific I can get with my programs, the more effective it is for marketing and selling, and the easier it is for people to know whether they need it or not. So I'm getting super clear, and this is like 7 launches in or something. So I want you to know that it takes time and it takes repetition, and it takes taking that time to debrief and look at what the data is showing you. And actually the other clear data that came through this one was that, and again, probably because of the Facebook ads, right, to be honest, is that I'm not bringing in enough eyes. So even with, I'm super happy with the launch. So I probably haven't even said that yet. I'm super happy with the launch. It actually went really well. The numbers that I got, I was really happy with. It's one of my biggest launches that I've done yet. Yes, I did not hit the exact numbers that I'd hoped for. And that's the goal for next time. But I'm also not being hard on myself for that either. Because of some of the things that went wrong, I want to be conscious of that. Now, one of the things that really highlighted to me that we didn't have enough eyes, obviously the Facebook ads didn't work. But now that we have all the data of how many people looked at the sales page, how many people looked at the sign up page for the conversion event, how many people looked at the sales page for the in-person event, the numbers were too low. For the conversions that we really want, the numbers were too low. So this is why I know that I need to back it up with Facebook ads and start working on my lead generation and attraction at the earlier stages before I go into a launch. So this has just given me such clarity to be like, oh, I can see now why I didn't hit the numbers that I needed to hit because of these reasons. It's not making it about me, right? So I think that's one of the things you need to do with launches is that sometimes it can be so disheartening and you can be so hard on yourself that you can blame yourself, but really it's because all of the 50 million things that you need to get clear on a launch, right? And I was saying this to a past client of mine, like sometimes you don't realize that you're doing the efforts of the income that you want to make. You're trying to make the income for your next 6 months or your next 3 months in a week or 2 weeks. Like it's a really intense period of time. And so the action definitely has to be at a higher level in order for you to make that happen. And so sometimes you need to look at everything from your posting schedule, how many emails you're sending out. Like it needs to be intense in order for you to get the numbers and the eyes on your sales pages. Otherwise, it does not convert. And then there's obviously the copy and whether it converts and whether the message lands or whether it's the right time. Like there's so many reasons why a launch can flop. And so one of my biggest lessons that I've had over the last 7 years is that I just haven't given up on it. Like it's about mastering it. Like I think that's one of the biggest mindset shifts that you can have in a business is recognizing that any effort that you put into your business is about mastery. It's not about whether it failed or succeeded. It's about mastery because you don't think you ever succeed to the extent because the goalposts are always moving. So if you could be conscious of yourself with that, like launching, it's about mastering the launching model and mastering your marketing, your sales messaging and everything that goes with it. And it is so many different moving parts all at once. Now, is it worth it? I believe it's worth it. It works well for my business. And now I have income for the next 3 to 6 months. Actually, I've got income right through to November. And that gives me such peace of mind. It keeps me out of scarcity and stops me having to feel like I have to sell all the damn time. So honestly, like it's one of those things that it's not for the faint of heart, and having a good process in place and actually having the support that you need to actually keep yourself going and staying motivated, like all of that helps, and having a really good strategy, obviously. But I'm a big believer that every new launch teaches you something new and everything's always evolving. So I think it's less about judging whether it's a failure or a success and being proud of yourself no matter what. So it's always what I say to my clients and what I say to myself, take action on the things that you want to be proud of yourself for. So when it gets to the end of that launch, you need to be able to look back and go, I'm really proud of myself because 1, I didn't give up. 2, I kept moving. 3, I'm really proud of what I put out there. I know it's a great offer. Like be proud of yourself because that's all that matters at the end of the day. The numbers or the results are something that is always moving pieces. So you cannot control the outcome, but you can absolutely control the way that you take action within your launch. So I hope this has given you a really beautiful insight into the behind the scenes of a launch. And I hope that it's, enticed you to start to look at the data in your business. And I hope that it's given you a really beautiful insight behind the scenes of what it takes to achieve great results, but also know that, goalposts always moving. Like my goal for next round is 100K launch. So being conscious of you can have your goal, look at all the incredible things that I learned in the process, and it's going to shift my business in such a positive way because of the time that I've taken to debrief with myself, to look at all the data, to get my OBM to go through all the data as well, to go through it with my coach and be like, okay, what's our game plan for the next round and how can we improve it? Because that's what inspires me. That's what I actually love about business is that we get to go and try new things and pivot and, play with it in the matrix. And I think so it's being conscious of being super kind to yourself in the process of it. And I think you're just going to be conscious not to also put too much pressure on yourself for it to be a success or a failure. It's just one part, right? It's just one part of my business, and there's always going to be more opportunities. So I hope that you've taken so much away from this episode. I'd love to hear from you and what you took away from it. So feel free to send me a DM. Honestly, I really want to hear because I wanted to share all the ins and outs of this, and I feel like it's something that I want to, know that it's landing, know that it's actually impacting you in a positive way. So if you have any questions, feel free to send me a DM, or if you just wanted to share with me what you took away, I'd love to hear from you. Otherwise, have an incredible week. Thank you for listening. And if you found any value out of this episode, make sure you hit the follow button so you get access to the episodes as soon as they are live. And make sure you come hang out with me on Instagram. You can find me at ChristineCorcoran_coach. Have an incredible week.